Hello everybody, you're watching Las Vegas, RETV.org. I'm Makea Turner, Realtor here in Las Vegas with Realty One Group. Today I have the opportunity to interview Larry Murphy. He's a real estate industry insider here in Las Vegas. Larry, a lot of our viewers may not know who you are and anything about your background, so if you wouldn't mind sharing with our viewers a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, be glad to. I've been in town for 36 years. Started out at Nellis Air Force Base. I got out of the service, got a real estate license, and sold real estate for a lot of years. And for the last 18 years, I've had a company called Sales Track, where we track every sale of every home every month in Clark County, and then we categorize it by product type, price range, and so forth, and report on the condition of the market.
Larry, what price range and style home do you see the most interest in, and where is it being bought? Is it being bought at the trustee sale, resale, or new?
Well, that's a pretty complex question. Let me start by saying that when homes are sold in Las Vegas, there's really 5 different kinds of sales. Mm-hmm. If we look at just new home sales, that would be one category, first time sale by a builder. The other 4 categories are under the category of the header of resale. And within the resale category, your home can be a normal, arm's length, non-distressed sale, just buyer and seller. Or it could be, the second type could be a foreclosure sale of, where the bank is the owner of the property. They've already foreclosed on the property, they own the property, and the bank is selling it. Okay. And a lot of those are sold through the MLS, and some of them are sold at auctions at places like the Marriott Hotel by REDC. But that's a bank-owned home, so that's a repo sale or an REO sale. Third category can be a short sale. The bank is actually just giving permission for the home to be sold for less money than the bank is owed on the property, but the bank doesn't foreclose on it. So it's a short sale. And then the final category is an auction sale, a true auction sale, which happens every Monday at Charleston and 4th Street. And at that place, sometimes those properties are not bought back by the bank. They are bought by a third party instead of by the bank. And that's a true auction sale. So we got 5 different kinds. Mm-hmm. I know it's a long answer to a short question, but it's key to understanding that that's the kinds of sales that we have. Now, to continue and talk about what price range is interesting, or what type of home, architectural style, I suppose you might say, the most active price range is the entry-level price range. We have, right now, about 40% of all the homes purchased through the MLS are paid for by cash. So that's a big hint that it's probably being bought by investors. And when you look at the price range, they're usually looking at entry-level homes because they're the easiest to rent out, and they represent the less risk and the smallest barrier to entry, if you will. So that's the most popular price range. As far as the style of home, honestly, all the homes in Las Vegas look alike, so they're all the same style.
Okay, well
that's a tacky answer, but it's pretty much true.
Yeah, I can understand that. I know a lot of the investors who call me, they're thinking, are they calling me and asking for, I want to buy a condo, or, what's hot, what is everyone else buying in Las Vegas? So that was kind of my ask.
Well, that's a good question. That's a popular question, and people often ask me, well, where are the good deals in town? Where, as if they were magically hidden in a certain zip code. That just isn't the way it works. The foreclosure homes, the good buys, there are good buys in every submarket. There are bad buys in every submarket. And it's not like there's a secret location where these are found, or one area that is just outshining all the others. The truth of the matter right now is, Makea, our market is distressed equally around all over town, in every area and in every submarket. But the question regarding condos perhaps and townhomes versus single-family homes, that's probably a more legitimate question, because sometimes people say, well, I don't want to incur the cost as an investor of an association fee. And so they tend to shy away from a condo or a townhome. And in a lot of markets, not just Las Vegas, but in Dallas and other places, condo's a dirty word. But I will tell you this, that in the housing mixture, about 16% of all the housing stock we have is condos and townhomes. So that would be 84% are single-family detached homes. We're not including apartments in this discussion. We're just talking about owner-occupied types of properties. And the condominiums in Las Vegas, by and large, do very well. They do not really trail the single-family home in appreciation or in popularity. They represent usually a very affordable alternative to the single-family home and do reasonably well in this town.
Okay. Well, that's interesting that you would say that, is because, you know, when investors or anyone calling me interested in buying in Las Vegas, when they ask for, you know, well, where's a good deal, I have to do a ton of questioning. You know, what do you consider a good deal? You know, what is it that you're looking for? So I'm glad that you did, you know, share that information with us. Larry, can you compare the median price for a home back in 2005 to what the median price for a home is today in Las Vegas?
You know what, I can, and the market in Las Vegas really began to take off in the first half of 2004. It was warming up in 2003, but in the first 6 months of 2004, the median price of a home went up 40% in 6 months.
Wow.
And then it kind of plateaued a little bit for about the next 6 months. The chart gets rather flat. And so we refer to that as the boom, and then right after that, in 2005, we had the echo boom. And prices took off again. And they really kind of peaked in about 2006. So I'll answer your question for 2005 and 2006, because that 12-month period from June of 05 to June 06 is when we peaked. And the maximum it peaked at was $285,000 for a single-family home. Typically about 1,800 square feet. That was then. This is now. Today, the median price of a home, when you consider all those kinds of homes we talked about, from foreclosure to short sale to auction sales to normal non-distress sales, last month it was $113,000. So you do the math, 285 to 113.
That's a big difference.
And that's happened in about a 4-year time frame. So the market took a real dive starting in January of 2007 and slid down for about the next 2.5 years. And for the last 18 months, the market in Las Vegas has really been pretty stable with regards to prices. And I can tell you that when we get to December 31st, which is just 2 weeks away, we will see that prices in Las Vegas as a whole went down about 5% in 2010, which is great.
That is, I mean...
It's great compared to what we saw in 2008 and 2009. So we're only losing 5%. And if I may say one more thing. That's a very popular question. People want to know, are we at the bottom of the market? People have been asking that question for 2 years. And it's interesting because we've been at the bottom for the last 18 months. And you take a look back at that time frame, and you'll see that prices have been pretty stable. We've been bumping along the bottom. Yes, they'll have gone down 5% this year. They could go down another 5% next year or not. But for investors, I like to tell investors, you don't try to time the exact bottom of the market. You don't have to buy at the exact bottom of the market to be a prudent investor. What you need to do as a prudent investor is buy at or near the bottom. Because the truth is, you'll never know exactly where the bottom was until we sail past it about 6 months and we look over our shoulder and we say, oh, that was the bottom back there. Because you don't know the bottom the day that it hits. You know it some time frame after it hits. So what you want to do is buy at or near the bottom. And I got to tell you, with my heart's belief, that's where we are right now. There are some tremendous buying opportunities in Las Vegas right now. And you know that from your personal experience. Intuitively, you know it. When you can buy a home for less than it costs to replicate it, when you can buy a home and get positive cash flow before taxes, a healthy positive cash flow before taxes, that's not something you were able to do historically in the last 10 years. But today you can.
Yeah, and that, like you said, that makes a great opportunity for people who are either trying to enter the market or even purchase a property for a second home or a vacation home here in Las Vegas. So,
I think the people who have the fortitude to go against the grain, go against the flow, if you have nothing more than a contrarian investment philosophy, that would say do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. So when everybody else is selling, and today everybody's selling. The banks are selling. People who are behind in their house payments are selling. Their homes are being sold at auction. So when everybody else is selling, this is the time to be buying.
I would agree with that. Larry, can you share with us how many homes were sold at the peak of the market compared to, how many homes are being sold today here in Las Vegas?
Yes, I can. Let's start by talking about just the new home construction.
Okay.
For a lot of years, we were building, like prior to the boom, I want to define the boom again as June 2004. That's when it really took off. Prior to 2004, Las Vegas was growing. It was one of the fastest growing cities in the country. Nevada was the fastest growing state for a lot of years. And we were building about 20,000 homes a year. And that seemed to be about the right number to build as regards to supply and demand. When the market got overheated, like it did in 04, 05, and 06, in 2005, if you include condominium conversions, we saw about 38,000 new homes built. Now, condo conversions, of course, doesn't mean that they're being built new. It means it's an older apartment building, although it could be relatively new, like 2 or 3 years old. We converted some apartment buildings actually before they ever were placed in service as apartments because the demand was that high. But for purposes of counting the beans, usually you gain inventory in your housing stock by way of construction, but the truth is you also gain housing stock by way of conversion because products that were not available for fee simple ownership the previous year but are available to be purchased this year, that's additional inventory. Okay. So that's where the 38,000 number comes from for 2005. And if you don't want to count those conversions and say, well, that's not really what I'm interested in, then take about 5,000 off that number and you'll have about 33,000 new homes in 2005. Compare that to today. Wow.